A lot of my philosophy in CX is rooted in how do we make sure that we only need one response,
Okay.
and not need the customer to ever actually have to respond back to it.
You're listening to CX Passport, the show about creating great customer experiences with a dash of travel talk. Each episode, we'll talk with our guests about great CX, travel, and just like the best journeys, explore new directions we never anticipated. I'm your host, Rick Denton. I believe the best meals are served outside and require a passport. Let's get going. CX Passport listeners, you are some of the most customer-centered people out there. I thank you for your engagement, for your continued and dedicated viewing and listening of CX Passport each week. As a community, you are amazing. Today, I want to ask you to join me on a different journey, a different style of episode, one that I hope to continue doing on a monthly basis, and at the same time, hope that I'm able to stop doing it because there's no longer a need for it. It's no secret, in 2023, it was a difficult year for many in the customer experience community. Many of you dedicated listeners have reached out and shared your stories of job change. And many of you have shared your stories of that fantastic new job opportunity you're starting in 2024. So going forward, once a month, CX Passport is going to have the honor of being joined by someone in our customer experience community who is currently seeking that next great CX opportunity. As always, we'll have a chance to learn, just like we learn from every guest, their insights around customer experience, their experiences in the customer realm, and we in the CX Passport community get the chance, and really the wider customer experience community at large, we have the opportunity to help our monthly guests build networks to source and secure their next great customer experience opportunity. Today, I am honored to have Adam Haesler join us on CX Passport. Adam most recently drove customer success at Fusion. In Adam's own words, he has spent, quote, the majority of my career on the front lines, focused on driving solutions for customers. Listeners and viewers know I have deep admiration for those actually working with the customer on those front lines. They know what the real customer experience is for a company. Experiences like that absolutely shape a person's perspective on the customer and how to provide a great customer experience. Adam speaks of three key phrases when describing himself: care for others, endure, discover. It's be fun to hear how Adam brings those into our conversation today. It is an understatement to tell you that I'm extremely excited about this new series in general, and specifically excited to talk with Adam today. Adam, welcome to CX Passport.
Thanks so much, Rick. It's great to be here.
And Adam, I didn't say this in the intro. I should have. Where are you coming from today?
So I am from and in Vancouver, British Columbia, which is in Canada on the far west coast.
Very, very good. And it is a place that I have not been to. This is going to really kind of date me a little bit. I haven't been there since 1986. And even then, it was the World Expo. And it being that long ago, I still remember the beauty, the vibrancy of the community, the cultural expansion of it, and just really the beauty of it. And it was horrible weather, by the way, and it was still beautiful. Snow in June or July. I can't remember the exact month. It was one of those crazy things. So we won't spend too much time talking Vancouver, although we could talk travel the whole time. I do want to, though, get a little more information from you about customer experience, your philosophies around it, and really your, for lack of a better term, experiences in customer experience. So what draws you to customer experience? Why is this discipline so important to you?
Yeah, so I guess I should really go back and tell a little bit about my backstory on how
Awesome.
I even got into it. So originally, I thought I was on a path to be a professor at a university. And what ended up happening was I got out of my master's degree, and unfortunately, I was told, "Oh, you probably wouldn't be a very good fit for a PhD." And I was like, "Okay, I guess the whole professor thing's not going to work."
Thanks, y'all.
So
okay.
I had to find a new career like pretty fast. I needed to find a job that I could get into, and customer service just happened to be one of those things. So we're talking back 2010. So we're talking before, things like Zendesk were even popular. We're talking about like over the phone, maybe email. As your primary focus on any help that you were providing customers. So we're not talking chat, we're not talking ticket support, any of that type of stuff. That was all like glamorous stuff that was far into the future.
I like that view of those being this futuristic technology,
exactly,
and now we look back and chuckle, right?
Anyway, so I jumped into a customer service role, and I really gravitated towards it really easily. I think the one thing that I didn't even really connect with as a skill of mine, because I've been in the science space and it being so rigorous and fact-based, there was a whole empathetic side of me that I don't think I really tapped into before. And that's what customer service allowed me to do. And if you sort of jump forward until where we are today, what I've done is I've really focused on outcomes over outputs. And so when it comes to customer service and customer support, customer experience, for me, it's all about how are we driving towards the outcome that the customer wants, not some sort of output that we see as important, whether that's a closed ticket or maybe it's, delivering some sort of response that we think is the right response, and really focusing on the customer experience that they're looking for, which is, I just want my problem solved, or I just want to know how to use this stinking software. I bought it, now I don't know how to use it, or, I bought it and now I'm having bug problems, and, just getting them out of that state and getting them back into that excitement of why did they buy the software originally. And I know I'm bringing up software a lot, and that's just because I've been in software space for quite a while.
This is your captain speaking. I want to thank you for listening to CX Passport today. We've now reached our cruising altitude, so I'll turn that seatbelt sign off. While you're getting comfortable, hit that follow or subscribe button on your favorite podcast app so you'll never miss an episode. Love it if you'd tell a friend about CX Passport, leave a review so others can discover the show as well. Now, sit back and enjoy the rest of the episode.
Hey, look, software is Boy, I'm having trouble even forming my words because they're coming so quickly. We have a lot of problems with software, and so needing the support of a company through their customer support, customer success. Pick your words here.
Yeah,
team is so important. That's really intriguing to me. That idea of outcomes over outputs. How did you come to that? Where was that sort of epiphany? Or how was that epiphany created for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was just enough angry customers coming back to me.
All right.
And rightfully so, because what had probably happened to them, just because I'm thinking once I moved into a bigger company where there were maybe a dozen different people doing customer service for these people, is that they had some sort of experience where somebody had provided them with what was supposed to be the solution, and it didn't resolve the problem. And for me, and I'm probably going to talk about this a lot, is that I brought my scientific background into customer service. And what I mean by that is really diving towards what is the root cause of the problem and not making any assumptions. And then making sure that whatever solution I am providing is actually the solution that solves their problem, even if that means clarifying with them what the problem is, and making sure that we are actually collaborating on a solution rather than me just forcing a solution on you, which I've experienced a lot of myself, just being a customer of software.
Boy, that collaboration spirit too. I talk a lot about the co-creation of customer experience happens the customer and specifically in this case, in many cases, frontline agent are co-creating. And so that collaboration spirit makes a lot of sense as to why you've been drawn to this. What are some, either that scientific method that you're describing, or in general, how have you created an experience that customers have wanted in your past? What are some examples of that?
Yeah. So, I think it really just keeps coming back to that scientific method that I pulled in, and thinking about what is it they're asking me, and then asking myself, do I actually have enough clarification on what they've asked me for? So a lot of times, especially back in the old days, I'd get these very vague requests. It's like, I just want this, right?
Right.
And this is before I was working at software companies, and customers would assume that that you knew what they were thinking about, what they were talking about, and 9 times out of 10, it might set off a reaction of, "Oh, I do know what they're talking about," and go and just deliver, again, deliver an output. And then, honestly, 9 times out of 10, if I did that path, it would result in a follow up. It's like, "Oh, I didn't mean that," or, "Oh, no, that's not solving my problem." And so, coming full circle with your question, I guess it's really about not taking a no assumptions approach to customer experience, and understanding that they're not coming to me as a customer support person because they want to. In an ideal world, they wouldn't have had to actually reach out to me at all. In fact, in a really ideal world, my job wouldn't exist because there would be no need for it.
Right.
Like, it's a little bit funny to say, but it is the reality that, it's like, unfortunately, they're coming to me because they needed me to solve some problem for them.
That you didn't use this word, but it hit my head as you were saying it, is that curiosity. That the scientific method requires a curiosity, and when you have a customer coming to you, it's that curiosity that you're demonstrating of really wondering why, what, how is it that you've gotten to this situation, customer. And I do chuckle that that your role might not necessarily be needed. I still believe, and I think you do too, that this role is always going to be needed, because we always are going to want a human interaction at a certain point. Yes, maybe some of the simple things get resolved, but I want my human when it's complex. And no, listeners, viewers, I'm not going to talk about Fort Lauderdale again. They've heard that example. It's still, though, is true. When my flight is canceled, I want a human. I don't want a bot. Yeah,
no kidding, eh? And I see this a lot in that we're defaulting to answering via email, unfortunately. And instead of picking up the phone when we know that the phone really needs to be implemented in that situation.
Let's totally agree. I'm curious about something that I've asked other guests before, and really it's something that I think is vitally important here in 2024. And I think it's kind of a dust sentence. I think all of us realize that this is an important customer experience needs to deliver business results. Otherwise, there's really no reason. And so how do you believe that the delivery of customer experience, and how can the delivery of customer experience affect business results?
So it's interesting you bring this up, because about a year and a half ago, I started up sort of a video series on LinkedIn called Stop Making Them Respond Above the Line. And really, so you're chuckling because I'm sure that you know what the reference is.
100%.
In these emails from these tech companies, we get these emails and it says, "Please respond above the line," and there's a little dotted line.
Right.
And a lot of my philosophy in CX is rooted in how do we make sure that we only need one response, and not need the customer to ever actually have to respond back to us. Often you get the thank you or whatever. But other than that, we actually should not ever need to have a conversation, although that, in complex situations, that's sometimes necessary.
Yeah.
So what if we lived in a world where a customer never had to respond back. They got the response and the outcome, coming back to what I was talking about as with outcomes of outputs, of exactly what they needed. Because I have, as a customer of tech companies, I've experienced basically every flaw, every mistake that could possibly be made. And I'm not faulting anybody. It is what it is. We're all under a lot of pressure. But I think that what's unfortunately happened in especially the support side of things, it's being driven by the wrong metric. And the wrong metric is number of tickets that get closed as opposed to the number of tickets that get solved. So what I like to say is we should shift from closing tickets to solving tickets. And so if we were to do that and we were to focus on finding a metric, and even if that means, we need to go to Zendesk and say, hey, you don't have the right metric for me to use to measure. If we focused on solved tickets, we would have less reopen tickets, which means less time that those support people are spending on any one ticket, and making sure that we're driving towards a better customer experience, because we're always focused on what does it mean for that customer to get exactly what they wanted and in exactly the time they wanted it. And so when you talk about business results as connected to what we're doing on the front lines, if we can reduce the amount of time and effort that we're having to put in on the front lines, then we free up not only our time to maybe do other things, maybe we get involved with the actual strategy side of things, or maybe we just get more clarity and more health for ourselves to be able to be more focused on the next customer who's coming across our desk. Because if we are so bogged down by the last request that we actually have to get up, put our headset down and say, I'm not going to be available for the next 10 minutes. All of a sudden now you put more pressure on everybody else on the team, and it just ends up spiraling into what I would call a bit of a psychological or health mess on your team, unfortunately. And it just becomes more and more stress. So if we put more focus on to solve tickets rather than close tickets, then I think we would be driving better business results as well as driving a better customer experience.
Adam, great example of going for that the outcome, not the outputs. And even you didn't say it, the cost cutting, right? There's that element of it. Like these are decisions that by improving experience, we can actually then create a scenario where the business result is it's a lower cost, or like you said, reposition cost to be applied to something that has a different opportunity for growth for the company. And so that's absolutely a tie to those business results that I see. I want to take you on a little change of pace here. The flight between Dallas, where I here in the North Texas area, the Dallas-Fort Worth Airport in Vancouver is about 4 to 5 hours. So it's not the worst flight in the world, but it's not the shortest flight in the world either. And it can be nice to park at the first class lounge, take a little break either before or after the flight. So I'm going to ask you to join me here in the first class lounge. We'll move quickly here and hopefully have a little bit of fun. What is a dream travel location from your past?
So dream travel location from my past would be to go back to South Africa, which I visited to do two different things, actually. One was to run a marathon in a game reserve, which was a lot of fun. I was running with Gazelle running right beside me and across in front of me.
That's one heck of a running group.
Yeah, no kidding, eh? So I'd love to be able to go back there and re-experience it from a a deeper appreciation for what I was experiencing at the time and maybe didn't fully understand. So the other thing, and the reason I say that is because the other thing that I did while I was there was I actually worked in what's called a shanty town within Cape Town, South Africa. And I was helping people learn how to just simply use a computer to write a document, because that's a core skill of anybody that wants to be able to get in at the entry level of a job.
Wow. Okay.
And so it was really cool for me to experience that at the time, but I don't think I fully appreciated the effect and the impact that I was having on the people's lives and the potential of what I could actually do as sort of dropped into the situation.
Right. That's awesome.
So
Well,
yeah,
that's one thing. I'm so used to getting the question, and it is beautiful destinations around the world. And heck, if I answered it, I wouldn't answer it with the same social impact that you described there. That's well, not only the social impact, but I certainly haven't run with gazelles in any trip from my past. What is a dream travel location you've not been to yet?
I've often thought of going to Europe, but most specifically to Italy. As I used to be like a really extreme long distance runner, so think beyond marathon. So 50K,
Well,
50-mile, 100-mile type races, and they have beautiful mountains in Italy as well as France and Switzerland. They're all part of major races that are in
oh, nice.
the long distance circuit. Now, I'm not a long distance runner anymore, but I'd love to be able to go out and experience those mountains, because they look to me like an amazing experience.
We all know that Italy is certainly known for its food. What is a favorite thing of yours to eat?
I have to come to what I just started doing most recently, which was preparing grilled cheese.
All right.
You know, it's so weird because I used to eat grilled cheese when I was young, but I just never picked it up once I became an adult. I just forgot about it. And then, you know, it's just like, it's been something that's been in the back of my mind for a little while. Adam, you got to go and try and make grilled cheese again. And
I love it.
Okay, let's go and do it.
That's awesome. And I got to tell you, I've never given up my love of grilled cheese. So, Adam, I'm glad that you have rediscovered it. Let's go the other way. What is something growing up that you hated as a kid but were forced to eat?
Oh, that'd be vegetables for sure. I would say, although my mom did a great job most of the time, because she always made like cheese sauce or whatever it was that she wanted to help me eat it. But
been there.
I used to be the worst picky eater. Like when I was, you know, around 3 to 5 years old, I wouldn't eat anything other than hot dogs and KD. So unfortunately for my mother, I don't know how she put up with it for so long.
That doesn't serve the body well, but it serves the kids' appetite well, for sure. Right.
So luckily I grew out of it a little bit more as the years went on.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to hear that. I'm certainly glad to hear that. Let's close out the first class lounge here. What is one travel item, not including your phone, not including your passport, that you will not leave home without?
I think that would be my my laptop. So I often go to the local libraries to be able to work. It's just because I get too distracted when I'm at home. And what I never leave home without is my laptop and my phone. It is my connection back to, you know, the digital space. And I've tried, you know, using, say, library computers, and it just doesn't really work as well because it doesn't feel like mine.
Okay, Adam, I'm going to allow that answer. The laptop's very close to the phone, but I am going to allow it because you're right. It is a way to connect and stay working. And we've allowed, judges have allowed the laptop answer for that question in the past as well. I can see why making sure you don't leave without that is vital. I do the same thing. That's one of the things that I have to have with me. Let's talk about customer experience again. Yeah, it isn't great out there, right? As customers, we know that things are broken. We know that there's a lot that can be improved. So I'm curious, in your perspective, What are companies missing in customer experience today, and how can they improve it?
I think the big thing, I hate to harp on it, but because I've mentioned it before a couple of times, but the thing that I see a lot of is number one, just not reading the customer's request and
Okay.
actually responding to the request that they've asked for or getting clarification on their request. And number two is doing more experimentation. So really understanding the problem from the technical side or even just the user interface side, and understanding all the different ways that the problem could be surfacing to actually identify that root cause. Because what I'm getting a lot of in terms of responses from people in customer support is the quick answer that has been templated and then fed back to me. And unfortunately, yes, it might solve maybe 80-75% of those tickets, but unfortunately, I've included some sort of information which should imply to them, oh, wait a minute, this is not that problem. Because, being a customer support person, and you're probably the same way, I've already gone and done the testing that could probably be done for all the user interface side of things. So likely there's a need for you, which I'm trying to imply in my support ticket, to go and do deeper investigation.
Yeah, you're making me laugh because I'm like, yes, I've already rebooted the machine. Can we go to the next step?
Exactly.
So if that's what's broken and that's something that companies can improve, knowing that you're looking for your next opportunity, how can you help a company improve on that?
Yeah, so it's interesting because I've never explicitly said it, but what I have done in positions before is I've actually had conversations with colleagues once I come into a company, helping them solve a problem through the lens of scientific method. So not teaching them like scientific method terminology, but helping them work through the problem from the top down of like asking the question, what is it that we're actually trying to identify the root cause of? How many different ways could that actually have happened based on all the different aspects of the software that we know of? And then, maybe rooting out what is the most likely cause, and then doing the thing that I don't think that most people are doing, which is actually going and testing it in my own sandbox. Because it's that last step that gets us from, say, a 5-6 different response ticket to a 2, maybe 3 response ticket.
I see. Okay. And that focus on reducing the back and forth, that's something I'm hearing loud and clear with you, is how can we reduce the back and forth?
Yeah.
Well, Adam, we're coming kind of close to the end of our time here. Knowing that you're looking for that next opportunity, what is next for you with customer experience?
Yeah, that's such a great question. So what I loved about working at Fusion, which is the last place I was working at, was that I had a bit of a hybrid role. So I was doing the traditional customer success, customer support type responsibilities in the mornings, and then I was doing more strategic customer journey work, understanding how all the tech needs to come together to work in harmony to create this great experience, as well as all the opinions of other stakeholders and all that kind of jazz. So I'd really love to be able to work in, a startup that's maybe 10 to 30 people large, that really believes in collaboration and giving people the autonomy to go and do their best work, and really have that flexibility to maybe explore things outside of my role. So even if I get a customer support role, being able to explore things in the more strategic side of things, just because they understand that I've maybe done it before, and they understand that I understand the value of doing that kind of work, which often, unfortunately, doesn't get done in smaller companies just because Nobody's got time, and and maybe you don't even have the knowledge for it.
I like that.
In house.
I like that. Well, Adam, I love the morning and the afternoon, the blend, that you're describing. And I certainly am optimistic that will be what's next for you with customer experience. When someone wants to get in touch with you, when they want to learn a little bit more about your approach or what you're targeting and how that might support them, what's the best way for folks to get in touch with you?
They can reach me on LinkedIn. I am likely the only Adam Haesler on there, but my mug is on the picture profile, and you probably can't miss it.
And I will have your LinkedIn URL in the show notes, folks. Just scroll down, click that, get connected with Adam, and learn how he can help you create business results from the customer support and customer success that he's describing. Adam, really enjoyed having you on the show today. Thank you for being willing to be a part of this first experiment, right? This is the first one we've done. It may be episode 150, whatever, but this is the first one we've done. And I am deeply appreciative that you were willing to come on here, be vulnerable, be transparent in your views around customer experience, what you're targeting, and absolutely rooting for you in securing that next opportunity. And I hope that CX Passport has a little bit of push in helping that come to fruition. Adam, thank you for being on CX Passport.
Thank you. Have an amazing day, and thank you to all your viewers.
Thanks for joining us this week on CX Passport. If you like today's episode, I have 3 quick next steps for you. Click subscribe on the CX Passport YouTube channel or your favorite podcast app. Next, leave a comment below the video or a review in your favorite podcast app so others can find and enjoy CX Passport too. Then head over to cxpassport.com for show notes and resources that can help you create tangible business results by delivering great customer experience. Until next time, I'm Rick Denton, and I believe the best meals are served outside and require a passport.